Hi there, Chase here with a quick tutorial on how to use checkboxes to gain compliance for form submissions. If you're in a country where the GDPR or similar regulations exist, you are definitely going to want to implement something like this. So let's check it out. I've got a form here. And so what I'm going to do is create a custom field. So we'll go to custom fields, add a new one. We're going to do checkbox and we're going to name this field. Now, I don't live in a country with GDPR, so I'm not an expert by any means. I just Googled GDPR consent text, and here's some examples. So I'm just going to grab this one. I don't know if this would technically make you compliant. Do your due diligence. This is just for an example. So I'm going to throw that text in here, and we'll throw that here. I'm actually going to call this GDPR checkbox so that I can find that custom field more easily. And we're only going to have one option. It's going to be yes. And we are going to, well, let's say we had yes or no, but typically you're just going to do yes. So let's do that. We'll hit save. And then we can drag in our new checkbox. And we're going to obviously want to change that. So if we click on it, we can then go back and paste what we had there so that that makes more sense. Okay, great. So now we have our form ready to go. We'll hit save. Before we move on though, two things to consider. If you select this field, you have the option to make it required, right? So let's say you only want to allow people to claim offers if they consent. So you could make this required and then they would not be able to go through this form without consenting. I don't know if you want to do that. You could add a no option here, or you could just add yes and make it optional. So I'm going to leave it optional, and then we're going to do a couple more things, right? So let's open up our form on the front end, just so we can go back to that in a minute. Okay, so I would typically do two things from here. First, I'm going to go to workflows, and I am going to make a workflow, and I'm just going to call it GDPR for reference. And this is going to start with my form fill. So form submitted, I'll add a filter for the form is, offer claim. Okay, and now I want to know, did they check that box or not? So we're going to add an if else conditional statement. We want to know if the contact details, and we're going to go down to the custom fields, look for the one that we just created, is or includes yes. We'll save that. So now we have two paths. When someone fills out this form, it's going to check to see if they selected that box or not. If they have, I want to tag them. So let's do tag, add a contact tag, and this is going to be, let's just say compliant. I don't have that tag, so I'm going to create it right here. Okay, great. And then if not, maybe I do the opposite and I tag them with non-compliant. Save. And I could continue to build from here, right? So when this form is submitted, whatever else I want to happen, I can just keep building out these chains here. But this is all I care about for now for this example. So I'm going to save this, publish it. Oop, need to save again. And now the second thing I would do is create a smart list. So let's hop back over to contacts and let's hit filters and search for tag. And let's say tag is compliant. Now I want to save this as a smart list. So I'm going to click this plus button. We're going to say compliant, save. And then maybe I also want to do the opposite, right? So I'll click back to all, add a filter for tag. Tag is, or I could say tag is not. That might be more accurate, but let's say I do tag is non-compliant. And then I save this as not compliant. Okay, cool. And now we can see that we have these two smart lists that live at the top of our contacts. So let's hop over to the form on the front end and fill this out. So let's say I am the greatest hockey player alive, Claude Giroux, and he's Claude at theflyers.com. Oh, he's already been here before. Check that out. And let's say Claude decides he will consent, so he's going to check that and hit submit. Okay, great. So now if we hop back to our contacts and give a refresh. All right, so there's Claude Giroux. We can see he picked up the compliant tag. So now if we go to the compliant smart list, he's the only person there. So from here, I could push the whole list of everybody who has this tag into campaigns. I could send them one-off messages if I wanted to, or I could continue to build out actions in that workflow if I wanted them to be automated. So that's how you set up consent checkboxes and then action off of them inside of the system.